All right, I've got 5 spikes. So we're gonna make a little impromptu video here, and we're gonna work these a little bit. He wants some bottle openers, some bottle cap openers, so that's what we'll do. Yeah, first thing we're gonna do is put my little touch mark on there. That's what I got set up here. I just use this fence real quick to adjust where I want to put it on the back of the spike. And then there's my touch mark. My first name is Garen, so there's G for Garen, and my last name is Power, so right, one symbol for both my names, one symbol to rule them all. And we're gonna use the induction forge to get this heated up. Makes a nice, quick, short heat right where I need it. So when this reads about 50 seconds, I'll throw it on the Flypress and get those touch marks in, and then we'll follow up with some fullers. Well, fullering. I gotta forge down this, just one side of this to create the ledge for when I do a slot punch. And that'll be fun. Slot punches, that's one of my favorite parts in the Flypress. Alright, here's one, 4 more to go. Now that they all have my touch mark, I'm going to go ahead and set up for a fuller. I'm going to use a 3/4 inch fuller up here and then a flat down here to forge in this little step here. And the reason I'm doing it here is because I've got all the spikes. I've got a center punch on all the spikes, and this is easier to spot exactly on that center. On the anvil, well, you can do it on the anvil for one, but you flip it over and it's harder to know where your touch mark is because it's on the bottom at that point. So let's go ahead and set this up. So that's the fuller I want to use. I need a tool holder. Here's one. This baby in here. Okay. So with this setup, like I said, it's easier for me to put this here and then drop this right on my touch mark and forge down to this, so I'll have the shoulder that I want, and then if I want to, I can continue to draw it out this way, all the while keeping this plane flat and forging this out. And then I'll finish it up at the anvil, and then we'll move on to the slot punch. To pause right here and just comment on how long these are. Now generally, you know, I wouldn't need this much material to make my slot punch, but I'm not measuring actually from the tip back. I'm measuring on the, since I'm engraving these, I'm measuring from the handle forward, and I want to have a uniform handle lengths because I'm going to have the same engraving, right? There'll be some branding and then the engraving. And this way I can get the same handle length. The excess here, I'll just chop that off at the anvil. After I punch it and drift it, I'll chop the excess off of the anvil, and everything else will get cleaned up on the horn when I work the, you know, what do we call that? The loop and the catch for the bottle opener. All right, one more to go, and we're going to slot punch. Okay, we're going to set up for the slot punch. And that'll go in this 0-point vise. This right here. Okay. So here's the die. I guess I made this about a year ago. I don't even remember. Something like that. And then this one bolt, we'll tighten it up. Boom. And loosen this collar. Now I've probably mentioned this before, but the reason I set this up, you know, I had a die like this before, but it was always hard to find my perfect alignment with the bottom die and the top die, but using this plate and this index tool holder allows me to index this much more quickly when I need to. I'm going to add a little bit of punch ease to the parts here, and then we'll punch some bottle openers. There's one! Here's a better look of what we're doing here. This slot punch presses the metal through that bottom die and punches out a little slug that goes through the hole, through the Flypress, through the table, and into this little coffee can. I didn't have this coffee can before, but you can maybe pick out some burn marks. I was burning this oak floor, this Flypress, but I got a few in there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna collect those in a masonry jar or something. Anyway, 4 more to go. There's two. One more. All right, so we need to drift the slot. Got this. And then we'll put in that little catch with this baby. Yeah, all right. We generally do this in 2 heats. Get it started. I get it started, and then I clean up the bottom. I mean, no matter what I do, doing it this way, it puts some witness marks from that round hole on the bottom of this piece. But I'll get it started like this, reheat, and then we'll drift all the way through and then clean it up. Where's the camera? Okay. Hey, focus on me. All right, sorry guys, this isn't working. We've got this, roughly, we've got it drifted and roughly started to forge, and I'm going to cut off this little excess. And then we'll forge the rest of the anvil. Let's do this. I got something to admit to you guys while I set this up. We just put in new flooring in our entire first floor. I don't think it's a good idea to do all of one floor at once. And I don't know where any of my stuff is, so I'm filming with my cell phone camera. And so, apologies. I mean, I'm not that great to begin with filming. This has got to make it worse. All right. So we're going to cut some of this tip off, just by eye. Just get most of it. I got a sharp spot on my anvil right here, and I'll just bend this over and knock it off. Right there, and then the rest gets forged in. Like that. Take a few more heats and finish it up. I'm going to switch back and forth to either side of this form to sort of, even out my forging. as I forge it this way, I'm going to flip it and then flatten it again. And I'll take as many heats as I want to refine this by eye to make it look symmetrical. Now, personally, I like a rough forged look. I personally like to see hammer marks. Well, at least on railroad spikes. Railroad spikes are tough. America was built on the iron rail, right? On railroads. And they're tough, like men, and men aren't perfect. So I want to see those forge marks. So I've got this block here to keep the spike from going backwards because I need to make up a little material on this side because it's a little too short. So this will take a couple heats. But this way I can forge at an angle. Does that make sense? I can forge against this and try and squeeze some more material before I bring this up and put the normal catch in. Not the way I normally do it, but a must in this case. Oops. There you go. This is pretty much how I like it. I like it to look like this. We'll let it cool down and then I'll test it on a bottle I have out here to make sure it works. You can see, well, you might be able to see that I borrowed just a little bit from the inside there to make that catch, but you know what? That is cool. That is even cooler. That's what makes forging very cool. You can move metal where you need it. Not just about taking away metal, you can move it to a new place. I love that. All right, I've got 4 more of these to do, and then tomorrow we will start engraving. So believe it or not, I keep this beer bottle out here just to make sure that's gonna fit. Not my brand, it's the wife brand, but yes, that is a go. It's getting hot in here. gets really bouncy. When it starts getting thin, it wants to bounce. One more heat. Alright, I think you guys get the point. I got 1.5 more to go, and let's just skip to the next part, which is let's just skip to the engraving. See you tomorrow. All right, it's the next day. And instead of being dark at night, it was last night that we last spoke. It's a nice sunny day here in Illinois. I'm engraving these railroad spike bottle openers. And I mean, we're pretty much done with this video. This is what it's looking at like now. There's a little, and then he wanted conductor on the railroad spikes. And so that's what I've got. And so I've got one done and 4 more to go. So now we're just rinse and repeat. We throw in a new spike, get it engraved. And then once I'm done, I'm going to heat these up. I'm going to seal them probably with linseed oil. I'm going to bring you in closer for those of you who also like to do CNC machining, particularly on this style. I've got the Siemens 808D controller, and we're going to go over the time counter real quick because I think that's a fun feature that you don't always see. So I've already got my G54, got the part probed. So before I run the part, I'm going to go into my time counter and I'm going to go counter yes. I'm going to say required 5, arrow down, and actual 1. Okay. So now as I run this part, that will update. My actual will go to 2 and 3, and my required stays the same. And then I'll get a red light when I'm done with my batch of 5 saying that my job is done. Kind of cool, I guess. But let's run this. All right, close, go. So first off is a 1/4 inch end mill. Takes out a little pocket about 1 millimeter deep. Because railroad spikes, you know, they're uneven. So I've done as much as I can to not change the character and history of these spikes. I don't know where he got these, but I want to maintain that. Some of them still show where they were hammered into the ground. I think that's cool. That's character. It tells a little story. So that's all staying the same. And then the surface, you know, railroad spikes rust. So some of the surface might not be completely flat. So we're going to do a pocket to frame this engraving. We have a machine surface, and then we're going to engrave with a 90-degree V-bit. And I go down in about 0.05 millimeter depth of cut. I know maybe that's a little conservative, but it works for me, and it's pretty quick. About 9,600 RPM and about, I think it's 500, just over 500 millimeters per whatever. So there you go. Again, what I just described, little pocket, little engraving, looks good. Then I'll seal them. And hopefully I'll ship these out today. That's 3 done. 2 more to go. All right, here's the last one. So that's 5 and done. I think she sent me an extra 1 or 2 in case I made a mistake, but I think all of these will do just fine. I think they'll work. It's almost 3 o'clock. I might have enough time to stick these in the mail. If not, it'll be tomorrow. Anyway, y'all, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.